Hello, it's Jim Hutchins for the Jerusalem Connection Spot Report for this week. Well, I just got back from a 10-day visit to Israel. It was exhilarating as usual, and as always, opportunity to reconnect with old friends, old ministries, and to just get a sense of the feel for God's people in Israel, for the Israelis themselves, what they're thinking. And I must say that as I returned, the hot topic seems to be the nomination of Donald Trump as the nominee for the Republican candidate for presidency. We discussed that with some Israelis. They're puzzled about Donald Trump. They're not sure where he stands on the basis of where he has stood before. They're concerned about that. They're wondering what it means when he says he's going to make America great again. I think that's a legitimate concern, I must say. There are those who, when running for political office, it seems are inevitable to make promises that it's impossible to fulfill. Rather than making America great or unifying them, as Hillary Clinton has said, unifying our people, from my observation and many others, we are a fragmented, we are a divided, many divided portions of this country. It's not just within the Republican Party that there's division, but it's in the Democratic Party. It's not only political division, but there's division all across this country. There's a fracturing all across this country. Economically, we're fractured. The fact that Bernie Sanders, a socialist, could gain the hearing that he has in his run for the presidency speaks of how fractured, divided we are economically. Racially, we elected a black president in 2008 hoping he could unify the races, but his actions have exacerbated the racism and race baiting that's taken place in this country. Academically, the secular academia is rampant with anti-Semitism, with secularism. As a Christian, I wouldn't even consider a secular school for my children or grandchildren today. There's just a division that it's multiplied division, multiplied polarization across this country. And I'm reminded of what Jesus says. It says in all three of the synoptic gospels, Matthew, Mark, and Luke. It says in Matthew chapter 12, verse 25, every kingdom, every country divided against itself will be ruined. Not can be, but will be ruined. Every city or household divided against itself will not stand. That's God's diagnosis of the problem. If there is division, it will not stand. And I think that's what is awaiting us. It's not going to get better. We're not going to become more unified. We're going to become more divided. And a house divided against Lincoln said it in 1858 when he's running for the Senate and then later for the presidency. Said a house divided against itself can't stand. And was speaking primarily of racism and the segregation laws that existed at that time. We've done away with a lot of the laws, but the racism and the division still stands. God says a nation, a kingdom, a house, a city that's divided will not stand. So where do we go from here? I've alluded to the passage in Daniel chapter 4, verse 17 many times, and I will too in the future before the election is here. God says through the prophet Daniel, the Most High is sovereign over the kingdoms of men, and he gives them to anyone that he wishes, and he places over them the lowliest, the basest of men. Why does God give us base leaders? We've experienced that in the present administration. And I'm convinced that whoever's elected is going to continue that in spades. Why does God give us that? Because I'm convinced that we are to look to him and not to government. I have a bumper sticker I've had for years. It says, God is not government. Duh. We cannot look to government to give us what only God can give us, and that's unity and peace and oneness. We will have unity only when the Prince of Unity and the Prince of Peace reigns supreme. That's yet to come. But I think as we consider this election, and it appears to me we're going to have to choose the lesser of two evils, but we recognize, as we do that, we need to recognize that God is sovereign. He's going to place over us the one that he chooses. But secondly, that we would pray that God would not lift his restraining hand. If God were to lift his restraining hand of evil in this country, we would know the worst form of hell on earth. God has graciously restrained evil to some extent in this country. And I think that's only what he can do. You say, what about American exceptionalism? American exceptionalism is just another word for God's benevolent, overwhelming, benevolent grace and mercy toward the people of the United States. That's what has made us exceptional. It's not that we've lifted it ourselves up by our own bootstraps. That's idolatry. And God will reckon with that. We are a blessed people, an exceptional people because of the grace and mercy of God in our lives. And we need to pray for that continually as a result of this coming election. May God help us. May God have mercy upon us. Till next week, Od Ki Yavo Shiloh, until Messiah comes, Yivareka Yahweh. Yahweh bless you, bless those you love, and bless those who love you.